from the beginning, this Casa Esperanza did not happen by itself or with me alone. I've sought help from almost everyone, and a lot of people, a lot of good friends of Casa, a lot of people who care about the community, care about the people who are sick and suffering from alcohol and drug addiction. You know, they helped out.
I'm from Berkshire County, which is way out in western Massachusetts. I was born and raised there. And after high school, one of the first jobs I had was as an electric light meter up in the hills. And one of the towns that I read in was the town of Peru, Massachusetts. Okay, fast forward to about 15 years. I'm working at Hope House part-time. And one of the guys, I came in the morning, and one of the guys at the front desk said to me, "Hey, Jack, where do you see the guy from Peru?" And I'm saying to myself, wow, somebody from Peru, you know? I know everybody up there. And so I put my bag down, I walked around, and there's this guy sitting there. He's about 4'9" tall, and he has a tan skin. I'm saying to myself, I never saw him in Peru. And then it occurred to me, Peru, the real one. And that's how I met Ricky.
Before I came to Roxbury, I was in the South End for 18 years. And I was associated with Hope House. I was on its board for a number of years. And through the Hope House connection, I got to know Rick. And we talked many times in the South End one-on-one. Among other things we talked of was his dream at that time of establishing a house with a Spanish orientation that would be somewhat similar to Hope House, since Hope House had been so successful.
I think when you've known someone as long as I've known Ricky, over 30 years, you have an image in your mind of when you first met someone. And my image of Ricky is him walking toward me with Diane on William Street in Jamaica Plain. And in their hand was a handwritten, you have to remember this is a really long time ago, a handwritten proposal, what we now know today as Casa Esperanza, or as we like to say, Rick's estate in Roxbury.
As the bureau director, you know, providers have questions and have needs, etc. So they come to me, and something I'll always remember is when Rick would come to see me, and maybe sometimes we did not see eye to eye on something, I could always see his mind just going, and I knew it wasn't, he never got upset or anything, but you knew that he was not going to give up.
I worked for my predecessor, John McDonough, for about 9 years. And every year at budget time, Ricky was one of the reasons I finally started to learn about how the budget system worked and why it was important, because Rick would come in every year and make an appointment with John and sit down. And sometimes I met with him, and sometimes John met with him, and do the rationale for why he needed the funding for Casa Esperanza.
He looked very bright and ready to fight for something, and we were just praying that he was going to fight for the right thing.
I saw in the South End, where there was a lot of abandoned buildings, there was also a lot of homeless. I used to see a lot of individuals over there who were laying on the sidewalks, alcoholics who had no home, and there was no help for them. But a few of us got together and with the idea of developing a substance abuse treatment for alcoholics at that time that would be geared towards the Latino community.
Rick throughout it was very focused and very dedicated at all times to Casa's growth and providing the best quality services for his clients, and for seeing the broader picture of what really needed to be done for the Hispanic community in not just Massachusetts, but really taking the program to a national level as a model of what could be done.
He always has a joke for everybody, and just has that way of always has something that he can share with someone, whether it's Red Sox or politics. But that's I think his favorite interest and pastime. Always, of course, with the intention of how can we help people and how can we fix the problems and how can we, better meet the needs of people in the community.
He was contemplating or in the process of bringing a new program to the community, Latinas y Niños, and I was running for elective office. I was trying to be a state rep, and the district that I was aspiring to represent was the community that Rick's facility was located in. So that kind of brought us together, and when we met, we hit it off right from the start, and I think I knew right then we had a gem.
He had this tenacity about him, and he just sold you. You've got this little person and this little all this energy, and he knocked on doors for me. He made phone calls for me. He was willing to just be there.
The thing about Ricky is that he's kind of like a moth drawn to a flame when it's anything to do with politics. So I got to know him probably around different campaigns and the gubernatorial races and Senate races, and working within what was at the time one of the more diverse ward committees in Boston.
My other images of Ricky are all very wonderful political images, and standing there for Clinton Gore with the world's biggest sign in the rain, fighting for Michael Dukakis for president, working on so many both national campaigns and grassroots campaigns that brought about the kind of change that has made Boston the strong, vibrant community that it is today.
And this is what I tell anybody who wants to do anything, that here in the United States and state of Massachusetts, you can do anything. You just have to learn the system and work with it. You put one foot in front of the other with your ultimate goal, and you get there.
I have a young friend who grew up with, about my age, a little younger, across the street from me, and still live in the same household that I grew up in. And one night I came home, and I know I was about to lose him. And I called everywhere. And I couldn't find anybody to put him in, to any place to put him in. I reached Rick. And Rick was able to help me get him into a program. I've lost him since, but for a moment, he came back to himself. And he looked so healthy. He was able to be clean for a while. And he was able to enjoy the people around him. But he had done so much damage to himself at that point. It was too late. But for a moment, we had him back. And we got him back because the day that I came home late one night, he was on that porch. And he was going. And if we didn't get him in at that moment, we would have never had that experience with him. So Rick, that's what Rick does.
There's no place that Rick won't go to talk about an issue of concern or to, get someone's support or someone's help for people in recovery.
I've never seen him not come over and talk to the clients and say, this is who I am, this is where I come from, and this is what I was able to do. That makes people think, okay, if this gentleman can do it, I can definitely, move ahead with my life. I can become a better person.
He was then the bright, smart guy that always thought of others and pursued his goal right from the get-go. I've never seen any change with the guy.
That's what sometimes I talk to some of the persons who are sick and suffering. They look at themselves, they don't like it. What can you do to change? You don't want to die. You want to live. All you want to do is get a little help. And that's what we're here for. Casa Esperanza is for that.
He starts telling stories about some of the wild things that he's done. And the fact that this guy was into skydiving and thrill seeking. You know, if there was a challenge out there, he had to do it. Now, if you know Ricky, you know that he did these things. So
there's the Rick, the executive director, who's strong and thoughtful. There's the Ricky who's your friend, who's teasing and compassionate. And then there's the Ricky who is a strong partner in his relationship with Patricia. And then there's Ricky in the meetings where he just, with so much integrity, helps people to coalesce and to really build constituencies for change.
I think a lot of it has to do with bringing recovery and the issues around the recovery world to the front plate in a way that it's not about, oh, poor me. It's about, this is the reality, and this is what can be done. And this is the impact that both addiction and recovery has on the Latino community.
Rick is one of those very special people who is very self-effacing and modest, but he has truly done very great things and made an enormous difference in many people's lives.
It's impossible to describe Rick in one word, I think, and truly do him justice as the unique person that he is. I mean, he's truly one of a kind. But, you know, if I had to sum it up, I would say love.
Extraordinary.
Committed.
Fantastic.
Loyalty.
Humble.
Caring.
He's tremendous.
Effervescent.
Very honest person.
Oh boy, the first word that comes to mind is phenomenal.
I really would like to say thank you to Rick. You know, a lot of people impacted me throughout the years. Rick has been the more consistent person who's been there from day one to, you know, his day of retirement. And even after that, I expect that I will see Rick, you know, on and off. I'm sure he'll come visit, and he will continue to provide that support and that strength.
Rick's done a lot for a lot of people, and I'm happy here to be here to celebrate and to applaud and to just say, Rick, I'm going to wish you the very best with this next chapter as you go on to do more exciting things.
This city and our world is a better place because Ricky Kurowa's been in it. But I'm just sort of dying to find out what he's going to be into next.